Actually, when I was a little kid, I wanted to do two things. I wanted to work with animals and I wanted to perform. So it was sort of trying to pick which, path I wanted to choose. But I always knew that I would perform because it was the one thing that I always loved to do. I would get up in the middle of class and sing or, and dance. So it was pretty clear. My first show was Anne of Green Gables, and I played Anne. It was in high school, and I was so excited to audition. I'd never auditioned for a show before. And I thought I would be so lucky to be in the ensemble, just to be in the show at all. And so when they offered me Anne, I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. My final callback, I guess you would call it. Like the creative team knew that they wanted to hire me, but they had to get approval from Carole herself.
Right.
So they wanted me to fly down to New York to put myself on tape so they could send the tapes to Carole so she could give the check mark. And so I was quite pregnant. I was very, very pregnant. And everyone was like, oh gosh, Chilina, are you sure you should do that? A of all, like, should you be flying? Because I was right under the wire. And B of all, like, are they going to be able to see past the pregnancy? And is that going to affect you getting the job or not? And I was like, guys, Carole had 4 kids. I said, if anyone would understand the situation, she would. And I think it's important to be able to keep auditioning and keep doing what we do and still have a family. I don't think that people should have to choose. I think we should be able to have both. So I went down, I put on my little skinny jeans with my little bandeau and my little 1960s flower top, and I looked a lot less pregnant. And I went in and I did all my audition, and then I flew back, and I think the combination of the stress of auditioning and the flying sent me into labor. So I went into early labor as soon as I got back to Canada. But then it stopped, which was fine. But I was on the street, and I remember starting to have contractions. And it was like the movies. I was like, what's happening? And then I went to a restaurant, and they stopped, thank God. But then I went to see my doctor, and she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you started labor. She's like, don't leave town, stay here. Yeah, but then I got, of course, I spent the weekend, humming and hawing, like, have I gotten the job? And then on Monday morning, my agent, who I've known for years and years and years, he's been with me since Anne of Green Gables, since the very beginning of my career. He called me in the morning, and I said, hello? He said, hi, honey, it's Bruce. He said, I'm not calling about what you think I'm calling about. I'm calling for a different reason. I need some tickets. And I was like, okay, no worries. Okay, what do you need tickets for? He said, I need a pair of tickets for your opening on Broadway. You got the job. And I started crying, and I was, pregnant and crying. It was beautiful. I can feel it becoming more a part of me. I love it. It's like a meditation. It's like a yoga practice. You go to the mat, and the poses are the same, but you come to it as a different human every day, and you're surrounded by different energy. And I keep getting to do it with these new wonderful people, so they teach me about the show. I mean, I'm still discovering things about scenes that I didn't think I had anything left to discover, and I'm still finding things out about myself and about the role and about the relationships. Carole is a very glass half full, joyful person, and that's affected me in a very, very positive way. I find that my life, my day-to-day is more joyful. Like, I'll find myself, on the subway in New York, and I'll have this grumpy face on. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? The whole point of the show is you got to get up every morning with a smile on your face, and I feel like I represent that in a certain way, and it's nice to be able to let that influence you and let that change you and let that make you sunnier. I just started a theater company, Eclipse Theater Company, with Evan Chichis. And we had our inaugural production, Kiss of the Spider Woman, just recently, which is very exciting. And I think that I think because I've been doing Beautiful for so long, it's nice to have other projects. I find that feeds me every night in my work, and I've written the show. We just had our 3rd reading of it in New York. And so Monday night I was doing the reading of that show, and then I flew out to Toronto on Tuesday morning and did the show that night. And it's fun. It keeps me alive and creative in a different way, and I'm writing songs and I'm hearing other people interpret my songs, and I think it connects me on a deeper level with Carole and her writing, and I think that there's just creativity produces more creativity. So I think the more creative you are in your life, just the better the work will be in general. Well, the music itself is reason to come. She wrote an amazing amount of #1 hits. I mean, hits that I had no idea were hers. I was a huge fan of Carole's without even realizing I was a fan. Like Will You Love Me Tomorrow, Natural Woman. And I often see, at the stage door, I'll see grandparents bringing their kids. Like you'll see 3 generations of people at the stage door, and they all love the show for different reasons. The story is a beautiful love story. I think it's a love story in 3 parts. It's the relationship between Carole and Jerry, the love story of the friendship of the 4 of them, and the love story between the artists and the work. And so there's just so much for everybody. Well, I think a great reason to come and see the show again is, first of all, it's at the Princess of Wales Theatre, and it's a beautiful, beautiful theatre. We did The Lord of the Rings there in 2005-06, and it's a lot of new cast members. And so I think, anytime I'm with a new Jerry or with a new Cynthia and Barry, the whole chemistry of the show changes. And so it's deepened in certain ways, it's different in certain ways. It's just a great show, and I think it's worth seeing 2 or 3 times. There's always so many different levels to a show, too. I think if you see it a second or third or fourth time, you tend to spot different things every time.